In today's video, we will be transforming 3 different biomes: Lush caves, Dripstone caves, and Mineshafts. We will be putting our own spin on these areas and building suitable homes to match the terrain. Hope you enjoy. Let's start off with Lush Caves. This is the area that we are going to be working with. The goal is to create a house that suits this environment perfectly. So, we will need to figure out which blocks match this biome. We will also need to figure out lighting and how to incorporate the hanging berries into the build. So let's get right into it. So let's start with just clearing out some land and then trying to make a big flat spot for a house to go. After I got the land cleared out, I just decided to just put some blocks all along here just to kind of give it more of a lush cave kind of feel instead of all this clay on the ground. Next, it was time to begin building the home. I just built a random layout with some oak logs. This is the layout that I decided to go with. So I was going to build up 3 and then just have a nice little basement layer and then 2 more layers above it. Now after messing around for a little bit, I came out with this overall layout for the home. A layer on the bottom as a basement, a second layer which is basically your main layer, and then a nice little top layer that opens up into a giant balcony. And then I'm deciding to do this kind of layout for a roof, to do a kind of a different styled roof unlike my other builds. Now I decided to add a little ramp to get up to the main layer. We had decided to add some windows with some line stained panes on it. And then we decided to go ahead and just put a little balcony up top, and then I decided to add some pretty interesting, unique windows. These windows have trapdoors on them, and it just gives it more of kind of an open feel. Now to add some finishing touches, I just decided to put some lanterns hanging down on each corner. This really adds to really just put some very nice lighting around the base, mainly so it just lights up the whole side of it so you can see it from anywhere inside of this cave. Now all you really need is just iron bars and some lanterns, and it should look something like this. It really adds up a lot of color, and makes it look very interesting here too. Here's what it looks like after putting lighting all around the house. It really makes it pop out a lot more. Also down here is the basement. Just decided to put some lighting down here too, but kind of make it more of kind of like a loomy area, if that makes sense. So only about 1 lantern to kind of light it up. But as you can see, we added nice little scaffolding kind of things on the bottom, so it's just some trapdoors and it makes it kind of look like it's more open. So I decided to add some more detail by adding more moss, some flowers, and then some berries that are hanging down. It really does make it pop out a lot more and makes it look like it blends into the cave more. Now on top, I decided to also add a nice little campfire, and then for some more details, added some cobwebs inside here. Now I decided that basements usually have things like barrels and all that in it, so I built a lot of barrels. So this whole thing is just mainly a nice little storage area with lots of storage room for really anything that you're gonna need, but I kind of like it because it's more of an open kind of basement. So yes, you can open up those those doors and then get out, but it's meant to be more to where, if you've ever seen like a house, how some houses are built kind of like up, so they have a nice little area that goes under, and then they have usually like little fences or something underneath them. It's basically the whole point of what I was trying to get with this build. Now on the inside, I decided just to kind of just fill it with some nice little things like a furnace, blast furnace, crafting station, and then a ton of just random stuff in here that you're gonna eventually need. Up top, we have some brewing stands, a nice little cauldron, and this is more of just an open balcony, so there's not much on it. After adding the finishing details, this is what it looks like. For this next location, we are going to do a dripstone cave. These caves have a very eerie feel to them, and I feel a medieval design would suit this cave perfectly. I'm going to start with just going ahead and getting rid of a lot of these little stones that are just hanging around, so then we can build a pathway. Now for the pathway, we're going to go ahead and just kind of build it up so it's just hanging over the whole cave. Now for the inside area, we're going to use some deep slate. I felt that this really matched to this whole area very well. So here is what I was building. It is a 3 by like 2-ish kind of thing, but I went ahead and kind of just expanded it so that it's about 3 layers wide within the logs. So then it kind of suits it a little bit better. Then I decided to go ahead and build into the wall. So we don't really have a ton of room to work with in this cave, and I felt that if we build it into the wall, it would make for a more kind of eerie kind of feel, and we're just gonna have it kind of hanging over this. And I was thinking, since there was already lava there, I was like, what if we just build a giant lava pit? So that's probably what we're gonna end up doing. So after kind of just like messing around with it, I came up with this overall kind of layout. So we decided to put some nice big lava pit down here, put it on some stilts, and then we put in a nice little lava thing going through one of the pillars, and then that is the main layout for the base. Now I went ahead and just added a bunch of little like details, so we put some walls in between the logs, and then added a nice overall kind of central like roof to it, and then added a nice little area up here, which is going to be the main bedroom. Now inside of the cave, this is what it looks like. I decided to do a nice little pattern in the floor right here, but there is a ton of room in here. So this is the main room, which is kind of just a massive room. In between here, we have some nice little lava things, and have this nice little hallway thing on both sides. And then we're going to build something also in the back. But I wanted to make sure that it wasn't too big, because, you know, after all, this isn't meant to hold a ton of people. But it's kind of keeping that medieval kind of feel, using dark oak like logs, and then the deep slate. Now in the middle, I decided to add a chandelier. This chandelier really pops out, and then around it is redstone lamps. And then I made the ceiling with black concrete to really make the chandelier pop out a lot more. I added some more detail by adding some like spruce trapdoors, and it really suits this area a lot better, and then put some more lighting all the way around. Now coming into the first room over on the left, we built a nice little 11 by 11 room. This is going to be your main crafting room and just really everything room. It's not the biggest room, but it can fit everything in it pretty well. Now for the roof, I really wanted to make it kind of more open to the point where it adds a lot more light. So here's what it's going to look like after it's done. After adding the finishing touches, this is what it looks like. It really pops out, and it kind of makes it more open and looks a lot better and very clean. Now for the floor, I wanted to interpret kind of things that are in the floor, if that makes sense. So you have crafting tables or something in the floor. So I'm just kind of messing around, and here's what I came up with. So right here is just a nice little everything area. You have your anvils here, and then you have your brewing stands, a cauldron, some chests for the brewing stands, your enchanting table area, which is a nice little area, and then over here you have furnaces, you have your barrels, and just some extra storage overall. Next, it's time to build the main bedroom, which is attached to the main crafting area. So I went ahead and just took out a massive area to work with to create just a giant bedroom. Here's what the overall layout looked like. It turned out to be a pretty big bedroom, and it was actually pretty hard to fill this thing. After adding some lighting and some really cool lava streams, here's what it looks like. Next up, it was time to add some kind of cool little artifacts. So I went ahead and put 3 armor stands and then just put some armor on them, and then kind of made them into like trophy cases. And for this to work, all you have to do is just this, some pistons and a redstone block, and it kind of turns it into a nice little trophy case. So after adding some finishing details, here's what the trophy cases look like. It actually looked really cool and added a nice little aspect to the bedroom. Now after adding some more finishing details, here's what the bedroom overall just kind of looked like. Now here is the chest room. This is on the opposite side as the crafting room, and overall just has a ton of storage room, so you have really room for literally pretty much anything in here. And overall, that's it for these 2 rooms. Now it's time to move on to the farm. Now the farm was a little bit of a bigger room, but had a more kind of awkward layout because we had one main area being the farm and then one smaller area being a nice little villager area. This is the farm and then this is the villager area. So after building this whole area, here's what the entire build looked like. For the final location, we are going to build a mineshaft cave. These mineshaft caves are one very tricky and unique challenge to build. I feel we can redesign the mineshaft to have more of a floating design, but still have the mineshaft kind of feel. So here's what a mineshaft usually looks like, other than the ones that is on fire there. These mineshafts are very just unique and just kind of go really wherever. Some are floating and some are on the ground. Now, trying to build a home in this is definitely going to be one very hard challenge to do, but let's see what we can do. I started by just kind of building a main kind of like layout overall, but this really wasn't the easiest thing to do as it just kept looking like a regular mineshaft. I tried to make it more kind of higher up with just bigger kind of pillars, but nothing was really seeming to work that well. So I decided to just go to a different location. But even in this new area, it still was a bit of a tricky disaster. I mean, everything looked cooler, but there just wasn't really anything unique about it. It looked like a mineshaft with just some stairs and some slabs. So I decided to move again and then just build an entirely new mineshaft. Now, using the same overall layout, I just decided to move to a bigger, more open cave. This more open cave allows for a lot more room, and it makes everything look a lot bigger. Now for the base, I decided to also kind of put it on some stilts and push it up into the air, and then of course we're going to make this floating more in the future. But for this design, I decided to do kind of a more inward kind of layout for the windows. So the windows are kind of in while the logs are out. It's a different, very unique one that I've built, but I feel like this is going to turn out very well. I decided to add some very small little like details onto the windows just to kind of make them pop out more. This just being stairs right here, and then our central doorway, which is right there. Now, it really did help other than the fact that I had to clear out a ton of land. Now, it was time to add some windows. The windows were a little tricky because they didn't really look the best being so big, so I decided just to mess around and I came up with the little like 2x6 kind of windows. Now it was time to move on to the second layer. The second layer was literally just a duplicate of the first one, but this second layer was just, it kind of made it look a little bit better because the base was looking a little bit off, only being 1 story high, so adding a second layer really gave it some more character. After adding a lot of details, here's what it looks like. We also wanted to add a nice little balcony on the second layer, just to kind of overlook the main mineshaft area. Now for the front door area, I was struggling to come up with a nice little layout for this, so I just came up with this by putting some walls and some stairs. It really made a nice little kind of balcony area on the front porch as well as on the second layer too. Now after the main layout, this is what it looks like. Time to go onto the roof. Now to give it more of kind of like a hanging feel, I decided to add these giant pillars that go into the ceiling to kind of make it look like it's being held on from the ceiling, so it's just hanging over. Now to get this to look right, it looked a little bit off for a while until I got the main roof on. Then it started to come together a little bit better. The roof was definitely a very tricky task to do, but having it kind of connect to these pillars made it a lot easier to build. Then in the middle, we just decided to do a little roof layout like this. So it's more of a unique roof, but it looked very good after everything was done. After adding a nice little working chimney, here's what it looked like. It looked pretty good, but the pillars actually added in a lot more character and made it kind of more of a less of a boring kind of roof. Now coming onto the interior, I decided to add a nice little chest area upstairs to the left. This chest area isn't the biggest, so if you want to add more, that's really up to you, but I felt that it just needed a nice overall central main area for everything to go. Then over here I decided to add a nice little area for all the armor stands to go, just to kind of make it pop out more, just to kind of make it more of a shrine. And then over next to it is the main bed. Now for this I was really struggling to figure out what to use for the nice little stairwell area, so I came to the conclusion of trapdoors. Trapdoors really looked really good until I was a little bit tricked out by this, but after figuring it out, it actually turned out pretty good looking. Onto the downstairs area, we decided just to add everything that you're going to really need, but this one is more of kind of a homey kind of layout. So you have everything kind of spread out more, and stuff is just more open, if that makes sense. So after adding the final touches and a lot of lighting all around the cave, here is what it looked like.